Today I have a very unique guest on my channel. It's Amreen. One of the fascinating aspects of what she does is the unique experiences that she creates for her group across the globe in different countries, often searching for some of the rare, fascinating and unique experiences that one can get in some of the most exotic locations across the globe. So when you're looking to establish international residencies, some of the content is truly absorbing, entertaining and intriguing to watch. You're going to learn more about her experiences in different countries, what are some of the best places to live, and also learn a little more about her life and experience in Dubai as she has grown up in the UAE, and a whole lot more. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jay Suresh. Here we discuss investments that lead to residencies and citizenships. So if you haven't subscribed, take a moment and subscribe so you're always updated on the latest and greatest on any of the programs. Alright, let's get started. So Amreen, welcome to my channel. Great to have you. Amreen, one of the things I wanted to start off with is no matter how good the content is on YouTube, there are a lot of channels, great content. One of the key things that really differentiates a person within this space is really the attention, the traction, the popularity. So your content might be the best, but what's the point if not a whole lot of people are watching it? One of the things that I noticed about your channel is some of your videos are getting tremendous traction. Some of your videos are nearing the 100K mark. That's substantial. That's a lot of traffic. That's a lot of attention. So congratulations on this great success that you're experiencing on your channel. Before we even proceed further, what I would like to do is for my viewers who are seeing you for the first time on my channel, I wanted to spend a few minutes, if you can introduce yourself and give us a little bit of insight about your channel, what you do. That'll kind of be very interesting to get started off with.
Okay. Hello. My name is Amreen. I started my YouTube channel Just Go with Amreen about 3 years ago. And I started simply by vlogging my experiences in every country. But eventually it turned into a channel where I started giving a lot of information, important information to other tourists, other travelers who would like to visit the same countries that I'm visiting, and not just documenting my experience, but also allowing other people to learn what they need to know before they visit the same country, where to stay, where to go, what to do, and what not to do, most importantly, things like that. And thanks to COVID, there was just so much confusion when it comes to travel, so much mixed information. People were really confused. I was confused. So when I began to travel post-COVID, it became more and more vital to share correct information. And if it is coming from someone who has physically been there, it obviously adds to credibility. And that's why my viewership even took off. Another thing that helped was when I solo traveled, I realized that I had inspired a whole wave of not just women, but also men to go explore any country on their own, particularly Serbia. And people began to realize and notice that Serbia is not unsafe, because that's the kind of notion people get. I don't even know where and it comes from, but yeah, that made my channel take off a lot. And now I think I get like 25,000 views or something per month, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I love it. And that's what I want to do. So I have recently started my travel company about 6 months ago, where I physically host groups in these countries that I have been to. I am not hosting travelers to countries I haven't been to, because when I travel, I build relationships with tour companies, tour guides, even like car rental companies, guest house owners, Airbnb hosts. I make sure that I know my tribe or my clan. So when I take people there, they are comfortable and they are well catered to. And I always go for the best, even if I have to spend a little bit more. I make sure that I get the best, so that my audience gets the best information and my group that comes with me gets the best experience.
That's wonderful to hear. And that's, I think, the connection. Serbia, my world is mostly about residencies, citizenships, relocation, migration, etc. especially during the pandemic, a lot of people were looking at smaller countries like Serbia, Albania, Macedonia, North Macedonia, Montenegro. Some of these countries have very unique opportunities for people where, a simple property purchase or simple investment or simple donation can lead to residencies and citizenships. People were stuck in huge countries like, let's say, the US, a lot of restrictions on travel. So they wanted an opportunity to have a residency somewhere where they can get away. And that's where I think Serbia really picked up, because it was this European, off the radar, cheap to live, open sort of a place during those times, and tremendous interest from there. And that's where once I was going through the whole Serbian option, what are the opportunities that I can present to my clients, your video came across, and I'm like, wait a minute, there is a connection. So I thought maybe it's an experience that you personally want to share of your own. But then I saw that you are doing this professionally. That really caught my attention, and I started obviously watching on, and the experiences that you had with your clients, the places that you selected, the unique I think experiences that you made them experience in Serbia was something fabulous. Because typically it's not just about the big cities; it's about the local unique experiences that people sometimes find more interesting, and they get hooked onto that country. So that is where I thought, wow, I need to get back to this at some point. And then when I got to reflect back and see some of your other journeys, I'm like, wow, you really know what you're doing. Your channel is picking up a lot of traction, a lot of attention. So this is a good opportunity to connect with you, get to know more about what you have to offer. Because a lot of my clients, when they're doing these investments, they haven't lived in the country enough. They don't have much background. Let's say, for example, there's a Turkish program where you invest in Turkey. You've never been there. You're remotely investing money and you're getting the citizenship, but you don't have any idea about Turkey, right? So a lot of people don't like that. They want to go there, experience it and all of that. It's very easy for them to rely on someone who has done this, who does this, and then experience all of that. And then when they are investing, this helps them invest in the right areas. It helps them pick the right countries, and it gives them a good preview of what they're getting into. So that's really the Serbian connection that you spoke about, which is quite interesting. That's what connected, I think.
I agree with what you just said about people going and experiencing the big cities, and sometimes the country is far more than just its capital city. And I explicitly say that in most of my videos. In fact, I'm going to exclusively release a video where that it's going to be titled that Belgrade is not Serbia. Because I met so many travelers, and they were not just from any particular nationality or country, all over the world. And they didn't just come there for 3 days or 4 days. They were actually there for a week, but they would just want to stay in a capital city because probably city life is something that they are more comfortable with. They come from there. So they find that a great place to just, settle themselves. But for me, I want to encourage and inspire people to get out, go to the countryside, explore the country for what it is and its beauty, because that's where it is. It's outside the city, it's outside the capital city, whichever country you go to. Istanbul is beautiful. Just taking your Turkey example, Istanbul is absolutely gorgeous. It touches my heart. But then there are so many other places, and Turkey is absolutely huge. Just go out there and experience other places, remote places. You might actually fall in love with another city far more than Istanbul.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other great thing about what you do, Amreen, that I found personal feedback is that you record this journey on video. So if someone hasn't really been there, at least they see the video, they get to experience that journey that others in that situation are experiencing, and that makes them, you know what, I want to do this. I want to go here. And that's one of my initial thoughts, like, you know what, let me go on one of these tours, and learn a lot more with the other people who are experiencing this. So yeah, really appreciate it. So to all my viewers, if you're interested in a particular country that Amreen has already covered, I think it's interesting to view that experience. It really gives a good insight into that journey. So Amreen, one of the other things I wanted to ask you, let's say, if there's a group of people, who are really interested, let's take an example of Serbia, right? We're talking about Serbia. Is this trip that let's say they're booking a trip with you, are you open to, let's say, a group of 7 to 8 people? Maybe it's family, maybe they're friends. Is this trip customizable? Can they make certain requests and you can customize the trip according to what they're expecting? So if you could share some insight on how flexible you are and how you accommodate such ad hoc requests from, let's say, a group of people.
Sure. So the company, the travel company that I have is basically called Unseen Voyages. And there are two verticals to that company. One is, of course, where I am physically hosting the group trip and there's a set itinerary, there's a set date and things like that. But then there is another vertical to it where there are families, couples, groups of friends even who request that I host them to a certain country. For example, there is a client that came to me and said, I want you to host we are a group of friends. I want you to host us in Thailand. Now, I've been to Thailand, so that's probably why they approached me for it. And that's what I'm doing. And those particular requests are completely customizable. I get on a call. It's like a consultation session where I understand what are the ages of all the people involved and what everybody likes. I even have a survey that I give it to them to fill it out so I understand where their interests lie. Do they want to see museums? Do they have kids? Do they want to do activities more than anything else? Do they want to do historical things? Do they want to relax more at the beach? What do they want to do? And based on that, I customize a group trip for that particular group. And I don't take more than 8 people at a time. So anything between a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 8 is who I generally host.
What are the countries that you support within this space? So let's say there's a lot of interest in Latin Americas, South Americas. Not a whole lot of people actually go there, but someone who wants to do a residency is particularly interested in that space because it's easy, they're open, the residency itself takes less time, and it's a cheap investment. So let's say, they don't have a whole lot to invest in a place like Portugal or Turkey or some of the bigger CBI programs. A simple South American residency can provide them with a easy access. Like, you have multiple options in Brazil, and I have a host of, tons of material that covers some of these options. So let's say, someone really wants a particular country. They don't have the time to do all the research. They want someone to do this for them. Are you open to stepping into the Latin American, South American space?
I'm always looking to travel and expand my horizon. I've just had the opportunity. It's just because of where I am located geographically in Dubai, the European countries, the Caucasus region, even Central Asia, like the Stans, the Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. So they're just easily accessible. They're like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour ride, like a flight away. But that's the only reason I have been in this area. Although I have traveled to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, all those Vietnam, faraway countries as well, but not to that part of the hemisphere yet.
Okay, got it.
But definitely open to it.
Sure, that's wonderful, Amreen, because a lot of clients, once you have the experience with a certain set of countries, they're very open. They want someone to do this for them, and someone who does this professionally, who's interested in setting this up. I think that's a big opportunity for a lot of people. So I'm very excited to know that, you are open to other places as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
Out of the places that you have seen, covered, taken people on tours and trips, what are your top 2 or 3 best countries that you would list if you were to recommend as a resident? Best quality of life, easy to sort of navigate, easy to survive. So from a residency standpoint.
Turkey is definitely very well connected and is pretty big, and there's a lot of options. So you could choose to live anywhere. You have more options of cities, and they're all very well, developed, I would say. So Turkey would be my number 1. I am not sure, but I'm not sure about residency, but I think my number 2 is Georgia, simply because how developed, economical it is. The food is amazing. The people are nice. And a lot of them know to speak English.
That's a very important one. Personally, and a lot of my clients, they struggle with keeping up with the languages. Now I do my level best to learn some of the most required languages like French and Spanish and all of that. But sometimes it gets tricky. So that was one of the biggest questions about Turkey. It's a great country, very accepting and all of that. But when it comes to surviving without knowing Turkish, is that still
challenging?
Challenging, right? Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's one of the
very
things
challenging.
I think that makes Georgia quite special is because a lot of people are learning English,
Yes,
they know English and it's easy to survive.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I mean, can you compare Georgia to, let's say, Serbia? What would be your sort of favorite pick between the two
Oh my.
from a residency? If you were to live in any of those, then what would be your number one
I would live in Georgia.
in Georgia? I see.
Yeah. Just because of the language, to be honest. I love Serbia, but also because of the weather. I am a person who's grown up in a really hot country, so anywhere which is way cooler is my favorite. So yeah, Georgia is cold pretty much throughout the year. It's pleasant. It's amazing.
I see. I see. I see.
And it's so scenic. The nature is gorgeous. You can go for hikes, you have lakes, you have rivers, you have beaches, you have history. I mean, what not? Everything, actually. It's a very versatile, diverse country that people are not quite aware of.
Right, right, right. But people are catching up. Amreen, a lot of
Oh, they
influencers.
are catching up with cities that everybody goes to. Tbilisi, Gudari, Kakheti. Yeah, sure. Have you seen more?
Right. Absolutely. That's the point. That's the point. And one of the things that really attracted a lot of people was the banking in Georgia. Again,
Mm.
once something becomes popular, it becomes oversubscribed, and then they start cracking down, and so that really sort of affected somewhat. But yeah, that's very interesting to hear your perspective on which one is the better of the two. Yeah. The other thing, Amreen, is a lot of clients in Dubai. Okay, a lot of Asians have all set homes in Dubai. They aren't able to be Dubai citizens or UAE citizens because obviously the policies are slightly different. The Gulf doesn't encourage a dual citizenship, provide the nationality and all of that. So they're stuck with some of their home country passports, which makes travel challenging. And a lot of people from places like Dubai are looking for alternate citizenship. So, they at least have a good travel document. They do a lot of the Caribbean CBI programs, which is by donation. You donate, let's say 100K, and you can get the passport from that part of the world. So when you talk about Dubai, you have lived all your life in Dubai. What are the top three reasons that you find Dubai worth it? Why would you say Dubai is the best place to live because of, let's say, the top three reasons?
Wow. I can make a book out of it. But, well, I think the first and the number one thing is safety.
Safety.
Number two is how developed it is. And number three is probably language and the variety of food you get here.
I see. Those are the top three things that a lot of clients actually ask for. I get a lot of calls, in the consultations where it's like, what's the safest place? What is a place which is, a good, well developed, right? So that's the answer is Dubai. The only
Yes.
one thing, would have been the icing on the cake is a more flexible immigration policy where let's say you spend 10 years, then at least then you become a Dubai or a UAE national. But yeah.
Yeah, you can't become a UAE national, but they have something called golden visa where you can get a 10-year visa and it has its own benefits as well, like accessibility in certain European countries. For example, I know Albania takes people who has golden visa. You can go there with golden visa. There are many countries actually, but this is just an example.
Right. So, I mean, one of the biggest issues, some people, this is the mental thing, not that someone really wants to commit something wrong or do wrong things, but sometimes when you are on a temporary status and something goes wrong, you are still a temporary kind of a person within that space. And if your whole life is set in that place, and if for whatever reason things go haywire, then you don't want to be in a situation where you get kicked out of that place. So a golden visa, like a Portugal, that leads to a citizenship, it becomes like a sort of a hot favorite for a lot of people. But Dubai is just so irresistible. It just offers so much of the other things that a lot of people still make Dubai their home.
It is irresistible. And honestly, Dubai spoils you so much and you take it for granted by default. But when you travel and you come back, you realize, oh my God, Dubai is like the best.
Right, right.
And what you're talking about, getting the fear of getting kicked off, I think if you go against the law in any country, okay, maybe like they may not kick you out, but it is still a crime. You would end up in jail if not outside
Right,
the
right,
country, right?
right.
So why do a crime?
Exactly, exactly. That's one of the main things, that everyone has to keep in mind is even by mistake, you cannot, you have to be careful because the world
There
doesn't.
are some really strict rules in Dubai, for example, when it comes to violence or propaganda, like even slapping someone is just a big no, and you will be
Right. And
Gone.
Amreen, the issue, I'll tell you where the issue happens is because there's so many countries and people trying to do residencies and citizenship. One thing that's allowed in a country, let's say Dubai has favorable tax policies. Now, Dubai has entered on the FATF grey list, which is sort of a watch list where, if you're doing any financial transactions, there's more visibility now because something that's acceptable to Dubai is not acceptable in other countries. So when one has a nomadic lifestyle, they have to
Mhm.
keep track of not only their own place of residence, but also where they're having a citizenship or a residency and all of that. So sometimes, what happens is very innocently someone does something which might be okay where they are at, but the moment you step, let's say, in an Arabic country, something drastically turns out to be a crime. And guess what? You never intended to do this, but this automatically happened. So that's where I think the passport or the citizenship is that ultimate peace of mind where even if
True.
you're going, let's say, to the jail, you're still going to jail in your home country. You're not going to be kicked out. We're going to go to jail in, let's say, an African country. So that's, I think, one peace of mind. But again, getting back to the central point, you got to be careful. You got to keep up
Just
with
gotta
all
be
the.
careful, exactly.
Absolutely.
Dubai is safe, and yeah, I don't know about going to jail in your home country. Depends where you come from.
Exactly. There was,
Yeah.
interestingly, Amreen, Australia, one of the most developed countries, during the pandemic, they actually kicked their own citizens out of their own country. They weren't allowed to travel to their country. So that was pretty fascinating. Again, nothing against Australia. Each country has its own right to decide
True.
how they want to implement their policies. But yeah, something
But
interesting.
that's where golden visa then plays a good role that no matter what, COVID or whatever, you will still be allowed back.
Would be allowed back to your country. And in some cases, like the Portugal, you still get the citizenship at the
Yes.
end of the
You
tenure.
never know. Maybe UAE is heading that way.
It
Golden
is,
visa is a
it
very
is,
new
it
thing.
is.
Maybe it is headed that way. So
Exactly.
you cannot strike it off yet.
Absolutely, and Amreen, they are opening up. They're looking at the market. It's getting competitive. They know how much people love Dubai for the reasons that you just pointed out, the top three reasons, and they are opening up more immigration-friendly approaches. So I'm hoping they come up with their own citizenship. Maybe it's not a 2 year or a 5 year thing, but at least in 10 years, if one can become a Dubai national, UAE national, I think that'll be one of the best changes in the whole immigration business.
Yes, that would be the best thing ever.
Right. So, Amreen, I really enjoyed this conversation a lot. So, if, as I said, earlier, the point being, if there's interest, there's clients, who want to do this all the time. I'm really hoping to have a great partnership with you to move forward with this. And yeah, sharing your experience, taking them places, making sure, they are, they know the place they're going to really would help them in future with their whole residency and, maybe citizenship in future and all of that. So truly excited to connect with you and really looking forward to
Likewise.
in future.
Likewise.
Absolutely.